I can't tell who's all here. It's so odd. Yay, I can see your comments. Hey guys. My hair's looking crazy on the side a little bit. Good morning, good morning. It is morning time for you guys, huh? It's afternoon where I am. I should turn this down, huh? Because they be taking videos off for copywriting songs. Sorry, I'm a little late. Like, every time I do lectures, guys, I always have stragglers that join at the very last minute. Like, after I've been announcing, been saying it. Okay, so I hope this is like recording. Okay, I think it is. It is. So I'm just gonna wait a little bit for more people to join. Thank you, babe. I did my makeup. So I wonder if I can scroll through these. Oh yeah, I can. Just like Instagram. This is great. I really wanted to make sure the quality was good. The quality looks better than Instagram, actually, from what I'm seeing on my phone. How is it on you guys' end? Like, you can hear and see me okay? And we have, there's like 10 people, 10 to 15 people that signed up, but I want to be sure that I start at the appropriate time. You guys can hear and see me okay, right? I didn't see anyone like make any comments, so I can't tell. That's bothering me. I'm gonna get it. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. It was still like up at the top. I have to remember to scroll down. Okay, one second. Ugly. I'm such a Virgo. I'm irritating. I love it, Fatima, because it'll actually save. And then I can just make it private, send it to you guys so you guys can have it for a longer period of time, or have it accessible for a longer period of time, instead of the 24 hours. But yeah. So, I'm wondering if I should just start now. I don't want to hold it off too much longer. Are you guys ready? You have your outlines and everything? I can get started? Also, was it easy and accessible? Like, when you go to your email and you have the YouTube link, you click it and then it just pops up, right? It's not a lot of like doing. Okay, cool. Okay. I really wanted to wait. Okay, so there's 6 people here now. Even though I can't look at the people that are here. It's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna turn on my diffuser. I'm sorry I have a bit of a cough, So if I have to cough throughout, don't think I'm gross, okay? Okay, wait. I had to turn on my little humidifier. Okay. Welcome, 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 welcome. This lecture is called Womb, Blood, and Birthing, Ending Cycles and Beginning Anew. So, for those of you that have never attended one of my lectures before, my name is Deani. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Sacramento, California, and I live in DC. I have my degree in psychology from Sac State. I worked in the mental health field for about 3 years, and I learned a lot about myself in that time. And I learned that I could not help people as deeply as I wanted to, and I could not help myself as deeply as I wanted to, working with human aspects. Is there a reason you had to log into your other account? Because humanity just doesn't save humanity. Does that make sense? It's like I'm teaching these kids how to write a resume and, how to apply for a job, and they're worrying about where their food's going to come from, if they're going to have a place to sleep. So the issues were much deeper than what I could do, and I realized I couldn't save anyone. I worked with foster youth, at-risk youth receiving severe mental health services. So they were receiving mental health services 1 or more times a week. I worked with wraparound, so those kids were receiving services daily. Youth that had 5150'd. Yes, and then I also worked as a crisis counselor at a safe house with women in domestic violence and sexual assault. And through those lines of work, I realized that there was a certain level of accountability that wasn't being taken. And because of the constant victimization that I was seeing, it was really difficult for me as a victim myself at that time to see past that into a space of creating, but I knew that there was more. I knew that I could do it. I just knew that the first step was quitting. So I moved my family to Colombia. Crazy, right? Colombia, South America. We lived there for about 6 months, from the time River was 6 months till he was exactly 1. And it was there that I actually was forced into creating the Heart Doula, because I left my laptop at TSA in DC, never received it, so I had to come up with something. And I was already there. I was close with starting this. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work with people spiritually. And here I am. So, yeah. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you guys for being here. My dream with the Heart Doula is to basically help people realize their heaven, to actualize it onto this physical plane. And that takes working through human trauma to get there. You have to work through your humanity before you can work fluidly and clearly with spirit. So I would consider my classes bridges. They bridge you from the earth realm and everything physical and tangible into the spirit realm. So this lecture was really important for me to do because I'm entering my space as a doula, right? Working with babies and mommies and families. And the womb is an incredibly significant energy center. And it's being very watered down, manipulated. There are a lot of beliefs about the womb that are overarching, but that are not explained or understood to the full extent. So I really wanted to do a live on this because it's something that I've experienced going from victim to creator. And it's something that I see in a lot of people. When I read energy, the number one energy center I feel that's obstructed is the womb. It's the sacral chakra. So that says something, right? All right. So this lecture is compiled with occult science, books, studies, research, channelings, life experiences, etc. So I want to prepare you mentally that this live is very, very intensive. I will be speaking to the gods in you, not the humans. This is very heavy. It demands more from you. This isn't a class where I'm going to tell you how great you are, how amazing your wombs are, how magical, how powerful, and not tell you the other side of it. You're going to have to use your intuition. You're going to have to be open. And your humanity, your survival mode is going to want to fight me. You're going to want to fight me. I'm telling you. Parts of this live, you probably are. So I really want to challenge you. I want to open your mind, and as we go along, please write down your questions. I will have intervals throughout where I ask for them, because if I'm, concentrating, going down, sometimes it's difficult, excuse me, for me to read your questions and answer and then continue, right? So I'll have intervals where I ask if anyone has any questions, and there you can ask me. So thank you all for being here, and let's begin. So I'm going to show you the altar space before we get into our small meditation. Okay, let me show you. Oh, take this cord out. Okay. So here is our altar space. We have over here Heket, who I'll talk about, the Duat, the subconscious mind, wisdom, tree of life, ancestors, right? This is my deity for ancestors and for gifts specifically. So harnessing our gifts, illuminating our gifts, the yellow stone in the middle like the sun. Then we have water, which I spoke into before our live as a ritualistic medium to invite ancestors, all the deities that we're working with and using for them to speak through me with clarity, with power, anything they'd like to transmit, use my vessel to do so. This deity represents the sacral chakra and creativity that directly comes from ancestors. Sacral chakra. My belly with river. The Ankh selenite wand, and a purity candle for cleansing. So that's everything. And when I speak of deities and them, that's not to say, that's not to say that they're outside of me. That's just to say that they will be specifically illuminated within me for this lecture, because that's where they exist, right? They're all inside of you. Okay. Are you guys ready for the swan meditation? So this is kind of just to get us centered, balanced, really tap into the sacral chakra space. I don't want us to go in feeling chaotic or feeling all over the place. So I want you to close your eyes And just going to do some deep breathing in through our nose, out through our mouth. When you breathe in through your nose, I want you to speak your name. So in your mind, obviously, but I want you to conjure your name, because what you're doing is you're bringing all your energy into you right now. So I want you to place your hand on your womb and bring awareness to that space. So let's place our hands on our wombs, and then we'll start our deep breathing. Okay? As you're breathing out, focus on the ground, focus on the chair, on the bed, whatever is supporting you. Sink into that thing. So keep breathing into her and tell her that you are present. The womb is a feminine energy space. So we are giving the breath of life to your womb as an offering and as an intention. You can go ahead and say what's written on your outline. Open, open, open. I am open to seeing. I am open to feeling. I am safe. I am held. I trust myself. Open, open, open. I am open to seeing. I am open to feeling. I am safe. I am held. I trust myself. One more time. Open, open, open. I am open to seeing. I am open to feeling. I am safe. I am held. I trust myself. Okay. Are we all good? You can go ahead and open your eyes when you're ready, and let me know when you are. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so I've pulled 2 cards for this space. What do we need to focus on while we are here? So the first card I pulled was listen to your heart. So be mindful of how your feelings are flowing, how the energy is moving inside of you, and keep listening to your heart, because your heart is always open to receiving messages, right? A lot of times it's the lower body that's resisting. Okay, so then also we have baby blue. I love this card because this is all about embracing your inner child and having positive expectations and innocence and trust. Trust in yourself. when you have things come up during this live in this space, trust what's coming up. Write it down. Okay. I'm so glad. That was like my first time leading a little meditation. It was fun. Okay. So, as you all know, we are actually in the age of the goddess. And because of this, you're going to get a lot of mixed messages relating to the goddess in the sense of what I was speaking about yesterday on my live. So for those of you who missed it, healing the goddess also means healing the god, right? So it's both divine masculine and divine feminine energy. It isn't just one or the other, right? So women have experienced considerable trauma on a human level. And in order to heal bloodlines, it begins with us and it ends with us, right? So completely focusing on feminine energy would be denying the other half of all of us, which is masculine energy. So we birth everyone. We birth both masculine energy prominent people and feminine energy prominent people. I'm going to try to be as gender neutral as possible because this is about energy, not about sex. So, what I see a lot on social media right now is this upholding and almost superiority factor of women, especially black women, which is great because we are magical, we are ethereal, we are all of these things, right? But in the same breath, I'm seeing a lot of hatred towards men. There's a lot of disdain, bitterness, resentfulness, anger, rage, right? And that speaks to the unhealed aspects of us. So it's great to talk about how magical we are and how beautiful we are, but also we're missing a key component to the unveiling and the unlocking of all of that magic and power, because you cannot direct your power, you cannot see your power, you cannot see your worthiness, right? Worthiness comes directly from masculine energy, directly. So the solar plexus chakra right above the sacral is responsible for that masculine energy. So as long as we're stuck in the womb, in the sense of obstructions, blockages, hatred towards men, bitterness, rage, anger, guilt, right? Heaviness, we cannot access that power. We cannot access that creator ability, that godhood. So, feminine energy is intuitive, it's nurturing, it's receptive, it's emotional. We are able to tap into and to feel all things, which is why we can so easily multitask. We feel everything. We are very chaotic and fluid. Chaotic in the sense of good. A lot of people think of chaotic as negative, but chaotic is actually very beautiful. It's what creates all things, right? When life feels chaotic, it actually has such order. It has order to it, right? It's very fluid. Feminine energy is also protecting. A lot of people view masculine energy as protecting. That's the women, right? Or the feminine energy. So, yes. So the topics we're going to hit on today is going to be channeling, sacral chakra, trauma and manifestation, menstrual cycles and reading spirit via symbology, blood rituals and ceremonies, healing ourselves, and giving birth and ancient knowing. These channels that I've created, excuse me, come from actual channels that I was doing throughout my cycle just this past week. So it's not just this past week, it's a compilation of everything I've been doing, but I specifically asked Spirit to give me a channel for the lecture, right? So all of these things that I'm going to be talking about in the channeling sections are directly from Spirit. So I'm going to be reading them probably. Just so you know, my computer's right here. So if I'm looking over here. All right, so you guys ready? Are you feeling okay? You can just give me a thumbs up or something. Yes. I can't see any. Oh, okay. Yay. So I got one ready. Cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first channel is the origin of the womb, right? The womb space where your sacral chakra is located, so that energy center, the womb creates. That's its job. It creates and it manifests. That's important to remember. It creates and it manifests. The womb is a symbol. So everything we have here that is physical is actually a symbol, because this reality is a reflection of our subconscious mind, right? So the womb is a physical reflection of our cosmic origin. The womb is a physical reflection of our cosmic origin. So it holds our deepest wounding. It holds our deepest wounding and our ability to claim creatorship and God power. So the womb holds its own separate consciousness. Isn't that amazing? It holds its own separate consciousness. It holds secrets. That is its job. So if you're looking at this as the womb, water, right? That's the womb. The womb matter is earth, and inside is water, which is also symbolic of blood. Water holds, right? Anything you put in water, it holds it. That's what the womb does. So, does not matter if that thing is on the positive spectrum or the negative spectrum, it holds it. So, secrets untold, untapped. Menstrual blood holds the highest amount of melanin. So, when you are on your cycle, the blood coming out, that blood that's coagulated, that holds the highest amount of melanin. Melanin is the agent of alchemy and transformation. Without this chemical, there's no agency or transformation happening, because melanin is what gives you your magic, right? So within melanin lies DNA that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation, right? And it's the most potent during your cycle. Oh, sorry guys. 1 second. Ooh. Okay, 1 second. Babe, if you're watching this, Uzma is trying to get into the lecture, and for some reason the link isn't working. So can you please get in contact with her and send her the link again? Sorry guys. So like I was saying, this is most potent during your cycle. So the things that need healing, the secrets, are going to come out during that time. It's symbolic, right? What's happening. It's very spiritual. It's less physical, it's more spiritual. So the symbol of it flowing out of the body is a mirror to release. So releasing those secrets and those things that are unfelt. I'll give you an example later. So your cycle is time for you to explore ancestral secrets, trauma, past life secrets, and memories. So the physical manifestation of the womb was created to mirror the earth. Water is blood. And with that comes the acknowledgement of both death and life. Because that's what the womb holds. All right. So mythology is our science. Melanated people. Mythology is our science. So when you read this mythology, these are stories with symbols that basically give you guidance on how to escape, how to solve, how to work through. It gives you the answers and solutions and keys to the issues that you're experiencing on this human plane. It gives you answers to your questions and solutions to your deepest wounds. So that's the purpose of mythology. So we're going to get into a little bit of mythology. Do you have any questions? Does anyone have any questions for me? Y'all a little quiet. You're probably writing though. Writing indeed. Good, good, good. Okay, I just sent Uzma the link. I think I might have forgotten to send it to her. Okay. Okay. That's okay. I'm just checking in, making sure y'all are all right. I know that was a lot of information, and I'm telling you, like, every sentence is going to be information. Hey, I'm so sorry if I forgot to send you the link. I'm sorry. I just did the introduction and basically talked about how the womb is its own consciousness and it's a physical reflection of our cosmic origin. The womb holds its own separate consciousness and it holds secrets. So menstrual blood holds the highest amount of melanin. Melanin is the agent of alchemy and transformation. Within melanin lies DNA. It's the most potent during our cycle. So the symbol of it flowing out of the body is to mirror release of all of the secrets it's holding and things that you haven't wanted to feel. Your cycle is time for you to explore ancestral secrets, trauma, past life secrets, and memories. The physical manifestation of the womb was created to mirror the earth. And mythology is our science. So that's where I ended. Hopefully that gives you guys a recap for those that are writing that may have missed what I said. I was trying to talk slow, but... All right, so let's get into a little bit of mythology. So this was also channeled. So everything I just told you was channeled. This is channeled also. And this is why Queen Afua's book, Sacred Woman, didn't resonate with me, because I could feel the unhealed masculine energy floating around. I think it's a good space for groundwork, but as far as like spiritual work, I don't think it was there. Shout out to Queen Afua because she's been doing this work for a long time. Don't want to disrespect, but yes. So this part was also channeled. So the womb was created in the name of a goddess, Heket. So this is spelled Heket. It's also spelled Heqet. There are a lot of spellings actually, but it was created in the name and the image of Heket. So Heket is a frog-headed deity. She is the god who places the soul inside of the fertile woman's body. So she takes the soul, right, from the intangible and makes it physical. Heket. A lot of midwives used to wear these symbols around their necks of the frog to conjure her energy while in birth work. So she makes the intangible have form. Her likeness is the story of the womb. Her mythology unlocks each portal and brings it across the bridge to the spirit realm. Heket's mythology is what unlocks the secrets of the womb. So Heket was not of this world. She wasn't a woman, but she had primarily feminine energy, and she did have the body of a woman. But she looked like a monster. She had the skin of a toad, so it was like bumpy and green, and her teeth were very sharp. But she was beautiful. She was beautiful. She had very beautiful energy. So I'm telling you this because these gods and goddesses that we often work with are both destructive and deadly, and they have life-bringing power, and they are sources of renewal. So these spirits physically look unclean to our humanity, right? They look unclean, unsafe. So pure spirits look unclean because they do not have interests of this world. Pure spirits look unclean because they don't have interests of this world. They don't care about this world. They don't care about humanity, right? So Sekhmet, she went around killing all these humans, drinking their blood, right? She looked very unclean, but once relieved from the ties that bind her here to this earthly plane through the killing of humanity and the consumption of programmed human blood, which we'll get to, she was purified and transformed when she drank the blood, right? It was beer that they tricked her into believing was blood, but it was really blood. It was really blood because she believed it was blood, right? So same thing with wine. Wine is blood. If you believe it's blood, it becomes blood. It becomes programmable. You can tell it what to do. So then she became the great mother, Hathor, right? Which was an enchantress, all about dance, sex, music, harmony, love, motherhood, erotica. That's who Hathor was, the great mother. So Sekhmet appeared unclean, but really she was just transforming. She was in a process of transformation. Okay. So I'm going to get into Heket a little bit. So Heket was a frog goddess of childbirth weight. Does anyone have any questions? Is everyone all right? I just want to make sure. Okay, good. Good. Okay, So Heket is the frog goddess of childbirth. She's known as the giver of life, spirit of the primordial waters, mother of the spirits. Um, I kept this on you guys' notes so you didn't have to write it all. She was known for birth, death, resurrection, and all points in between, especially dealing with subterranean realms. So a subterranean realm is like, you know those caves? They look like caves, and then inside is like a pool of water, and it's like underground. That's what a subterranean realm is. So it exists and occurs under the earth's surface. It's secret, it's concealed, it's working in secret, it's hidden. Hidden, right? So everything that we're talking about when we talked about the properties of the womb is mirroring in this story that I'm about to tell you. Right? So just keep that in mind as you're listening. So she protects the home. The home is symbolic, right? So your home is symbolic for the emotional body and the womb. So if you moved a lot as a child, right, or if you had a very unstable home, you'll notice that your emotions are reflective of that. And that stores where? In the womb. So midwives were the servants of Heket, and she had a divine union with Khnum. I'm going to say his name that way because some people call him Noom, some people call him Num, some people say Khnum. I think it's Khnum. Yes, it's a symbol. So this god, Khnum, molds the physical body from red clay. Right? So she would bring the soul into the body, right, and make it tangible, and he would actually give it earth form, right? So he would mold the physical body from red clay. Red clay is symbolic of earth and menstrual blood. Earth and menstrual blood, like the red desert in Arizona. So when I channeled her, this is what I saw. She was walking around a small riverbank, and there were all of these trees that were very secret, almost like concealing the water. She was unearthly. She had extremely long hair, like past her feet, almost like a wedding dress drape thing, you know? That's how her hair was. It was long and it was really thick. And she was naked. And she used to swim and frolic. She loved to play and have sex. Those were like her favorite things to do. She whispered to the trees and the tall grass. Whispered, right? Creation. Everything around her was soft, humming, fertile, wet, moist. That was her environment. She felt good, warm, both mother and child. So during this time, I asked to receive something special from her, and I received the wheel. I received an image of the wheel. That's what I saw. So not only were wheels symbolizing her relationship to Khnum, because that is Khnum's symbol, the potter's wheel. That's how he would create the babies and give form to humans out of the red clay. But wheels are also representative of portals, of cycles, birth and death, creation, and also like you're driving a wheel, direction, right? So it's almost the merging of the masculine and feminine energy. So Heket is a portal, right? The womb is a portal. Sorry. Okay. So she/you sorry. I was trying to check the comments. So she/you acts as one for others. So the portal looks like this. Through mind and feeling, you embody a gateway or a bridge to the spirit realm, to creation, to all there is. So essentially, a portal, right, is like an altar. It's like your bath water. It's like two trees that are standing side by side and you walk between them. Those all can be portals. This is a portal. So basically, if your womb is a portal, you're embodying a gateway or a bridge to the spirit realm, to creation, and to all there is. You're basically opening up for this realm and saying, what do you want to see? I can show you. So Heket not only had a deep reverence for creation, for the bringing forth of life, but also she had a deep fascination of death. And she experimented with things like pain and dying very frequently. She showed me how she would jump off of waterfalls, walk through fire, force snake bites, poke herself, pinch herself, the whole, excuse me, lot, because she had this desperation to die, because she knew, she understood transformation, right? That once she dies, she will just be reborn. She would just come back. So she thoroughly enjoyed receiving pain, and she was desperate for the feeling that death brought, which was life. So I channeled this specific word. I said, give me a word or something that speaks to you, to this story. And I got Dhamma, D-H-A-M-A. That's how I saw it in my mind. So then I looked it up, and it means red birth. Red birth. Menstrual blood, right? Birthing, which is also red birth, breath of life. Breath of life, which we did in the beginning meditation, right? That's why I said you're giving an offering to your womb as the breath of life. All right. So I know I have the first reflection question, but I really want you guys to read back through your notes of Heket and make some correlations as to how you feel that this is reflecting the womb. How all of what her mythology is incorporating is just a mirror image of the womb. You can just write words. You can highlight certain things, underline certain things. And let me know when you're done, and then we'll do the first reflection question. So when you're done making the correlation, just go ahead and give me a thumbs up, a heart, or whatever to let me know that you're ready to move on to the first reflection question. cool. Okay. So, excuse me, the first reflection question: how are you feeling? Where is your imagination flowing? Take about a minute to just free write. So, how are you feeling? What's coming up in your imagination? Also, if anyone has any questions at this time, please feel free to ask. And just let me know when you're done. Okay. All right, cool. So we're going to move on to the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra develops between the ages of 7 and 14. 7 and 14. So if you think about what you're experiencing between 7 and 14, you're usually diving into your creativity, becoming interested about your sexuality, learning how to manage and understand your emotions, right? All of those things. So your life events are clues to the secrets that lie inside of the womb. So if you take a look at the ages 7 to 14, if you remember any traumatic events, any really beautiful events or memories, any traditions you have with family members, etc., these life events are clues to the secrets that lie inside of the womb. So the womb's element is water, right? So it holds, it cleanses, it makes it safe, just like how your water bag holds the baby, right? Keeps it safe and protects. So the womb holds. It also cleanses, it releases, it purifies, it restores. It also kills and destroys. So the feminine, right? Because the womb is a feminine energy center, it receives energy. It receives memories and it reflects those into reality, right? So a lot of times we talk about the heart feeling and reflecting. The heart definitely feels and reflects. The womb does as well, because the womb carries its own separate consciousness. So if it carries its own separate consciousness, then everything that goes into the womb is going to be reflected. So I would say the three main points of the womb is the power, its ability to receive and release feeling. So when a womb is operating at its prime state, it's cleansed, it's healed, it will receive feeling and it will release. It will receive and it will release, right? We see with chaotic feminine energy that's unhealed, ruminate, 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 cycle, 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 over, 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 repeat, repeat, repeat. Feel the same shit over, 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 no direction, no solution, right? That's what happens with unhealed feminine energy. Feminine energy that is healed is able to feel, release, feel, release. So it's also indicative of your relationship to emotion and sex. How are you able to feel and release? How are you able to be intimate, to be sexual, to explore your sexuality? It's also how you perceive creation and creativity. How do you feel that you are able to create your life? How are you able to use your creativity to master your God power? A lot of people that have blocked sacral chakras don't feel that they can create their lives. They still feel confined by the government, by politics. They feel trapped by white people, by money, by food, diet, religion. So if you don't feel that you are a limitless creator in the sense of you can do anything, you don't need anyone's validation, you don't need to be in proximity to whiteness to feel worthy, to feel like you are a creator, right? Then when you get out of those spaces, you can perceive creation as limitless as you are. And I mentioned white people because that's like one of the number one things that is in a lot of black women's wombs. I was gonna say wounds, but that too. There's this fruit fly. So annoying. Get away. Nobody wants you here. Can't sit with us. Okay. So, right? So like things like oppression, things like, feelings of victimization in any way, in any construct. Feelings of victimization inhibit your ability to create. So that's like on the same spectrum. So like how the solar plexus chakra operates with shame and then power, right? So any kind of shame obstructs your power. It obstructs your light. It makes it like this. You can't see it, right? So it's the same with the womb. So creation and creativity, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum you have victimization. So that victimization obstructs your ability to create. All right, so let's get into the channeled portion. So I asked Spirit, why create wombs in the first place? Like, what is the point? Why do we have them? Because if they are a physical reflection or manifestation of what is cosmic, then what is the divine purpose? So I received an image of a skull. What do a lot of us think about when we think of a skull? I was like, death? No. Yes. So the skull is representative of skill. So the mastering of alchemical arts, tinctures, nature, the mastery of death and dark arts, right? The mastery of death. When you can master death, you can also do what? Master life. So this is what I saw. I saw giant women, giant, like You know on Moana, the lady that lays down and forms the whole island? That's like what I saw. Flying through the sky, half mermaid, half monster. Giggling, laughing, swooping, going around each other, creating our own magical lands with the way we wanted our people to look. So I don't want to say women, but androgynous beings, half monster, half mermaid. So we wanted our people to look a certain way, right? And the thing is, with the collective consciousness, quote unquote, I fucking hate when people do that, but we're already perfect, right? We're already perfect on a soul level. But in order to imagine new realities, create new worlds, right, which adds light to the collective and our individual souls. That's what enlightenment is, or the receiving of light, is just the ability to have realizations about ourselves and become more and more free, more and more limitless, more and more of creators, right? So if you want people to create new realities and create new worlds, this is what I heard, then they have to experience a chaos. So, do you guys see this? Okay, they have to experience a chaos so unlike and outside of them that their minds must expand, remember, and deepen to grasp the fullness of those lessons as symbols. So these lessons, these mirrors, and this work are totally and completely integrated once death occurs in any form, right? So when you die internally and you rebirth yourself, you've now integrated that lesson, right? So when we talked about chaotic feminine energy and like repeating, you're not integrating anything, right? Because there's no direction. There's no step outside of humanity into spirit to then reach an otherworldly conclusion, right, about yourself and have those realizations and then release and just carry the light, right? We carry the heaviness of the whole lesson and experience, and every time we talk about it, we cry. Every time we remember it, it triggers us, right? That means it's unhealed. So what happens is when you allow death of a belief, an idea, an experience, a situation, a pattern, a person, whatever the case may be, the lessons, mirrors, and work integrate. So the trick is remembering who you are, remembering that these things exist to serve you, right? So the womb is the imagination, literally. The womb is your ability to imagine. When I ask people, if you could do anything, what would you do? It's always some shit like, I'd go work at this job because I've always wanted to do this job. Like, I'm literally asking you if you could do anything, if you could be anything. You could literally tell me, I want to be a fish and I want to experience like a fish life for like 4 hours. Like, I don't give a fuck. But the thing is that shows just how limited our imaginations can be, right? The womb is the imagination. So it's your creativity. It's your ability to create. It's your perception of your ability and your capability of creating. It's your perception of your own freedom of who you are. Are you a god or are you a human? Right? And of course we're operating in human form, but our mind does not have to be at effect of a human experience and a human reality, right? We can operate from a space of being a god because that's who we are. So womb work leads to self-mastery. This one energy center leads to self-mastery, because when you can break through the womb, be in tune with the womb, work through the healing process of the womb, right? Everything will align. Because you'll be embracing your divine masculine and your ability to create, and to see your light and to be powerful, right? You'll be embracing your heart and its direction that it leads you. You'll be embracing the fact that you always belong, that you are always safe, root chakra, right? That you are a God. You wouldn't create your life to be anything less. You'll start to have trust. You'll start to build a foundation in spirit. That is your root chakra, right? You'll start to use your voice and be honest about your feelings and be honest about the people around you and be honest about the gifts that you're giving, right? Because the throat connects to the shoulders, connects to the arms, connects to the hands. It's giving your gifts. You'll feel clearly. You'll receive messages clearly. And these messages that come, you'll be able to move through them with fluidity and ease because you're clear. You're not holding, right? That's what the womb does. It holds. So for self-mastery, it includes your bloodlines, right, of your ancestors, your matriarchal lineage, your past lives, and your memories. So all of that is held inside of your womb. It's not just you, your past lives, your memories from this lifetime, your trauma from this lifetime, right? It's reflecting your ancestors' trauma, your mother's trauma, your everything that anyone has done in your bloodline is stored in your womb. All the secrets. Everybody has them. Murder, rape, right? All of these things. You are the creator. You created this. So the womb reflects that of your origin, and it contains these block channels that are waiting to be heard, cleared, and activated, because ultimately you are perfect. So any duality that you possess, you also possess the opposite. If you know that you possess these feelings of death, these feelings of sadness, these feelings of despair, these feelings of helplessness, then you know that you also possess these feelings of joy, of love, of power, of brilliance, right? You cannot have one without the other. You can't have the good without the bad, and you can't have the bad without good. I don't like using those words, but it's clear, right? So when you have an imbalance in your womb, you have this attachment to victimization. You find your identity in struggling and in oppression and in fighting for anything. And these things take away from doing the work and mastering self because you don't know who you are outside of this. Right? So when you are attached to being a victim, you are attached to your identity that was rooted in struggling, in oppression, in sadness, in anger, in lack of forgiveness, in hatred towards men, whatever the case may be. You cannot know who you are. Because outside of that human experience, there's no correlation, there's no connection. And that's where the imbalances in the womb usually come from, right? And not just that, but there's more, of course. I'm gonna say more in a second. That's why I didn't say it then. But I wanted to make that point. That victimization is that block, being attached to that reality. All right, so do we have any questions thus far? How are you guys doing? Thumbs up. I'll continue if you guys are ready. Are you guys ready? It's so weird. I wish I could see you. Thank you, boo. I'm glad. Okay. So the origin of you. So the womb holds, right? So if it holds the DNA of everything that every person has done in your lineage, right? Everything. So the discovery of who you are, of what your family has done, of what they believe themselves to be, about who you believe yourself to be, must be seen and must be felt. So all of your secrets essentially must be unveiled, right? Like taking the veil off of the bride. All of the secrets must be unveiled. So if your family has a history of believing that they're in victim mode, right? Everything is against them. The world is against them. It's a struggle. It's a fight. You need to fight for this. You need to fight for that. You need to fight for your rights and blah, 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 right? If there's this hatred for men and this anger and this understanding that men won't stick around, there's this understanding of who men are as, you know, two-dimensional beings. There's this sense of helplessness. There's a lot of grief and unhealed mourning. There's emotional suppression and not being open about emotions and being hard, cold, blocked, or being overly emotional and chaotic. And, you know, there's an unhealthy relationship to sex and sexuality. Your family shames it, you know, or there's an overemphasis on like meeting needs through sex. There's a lot of sexual trauma. So all of the things that I just mentioned are intergenerational trauma. So when we talk about the things that the womb holds, those are all of the things, right? In relation to creation, to sex, and emotion. All of those things. So when you're feeling this trauma, the decisions, the beliefs, the understandings of self, of your family, that is what's going to work to free you, right? Being able to feel those things, being able to tap into those things, being able to see those things and be like, oh, that's why my mom does this, or that's why my grandma always used to say this, right? Because those things actually don't belong to you, but you chose that bloodline so that you could perfect that part of yourself, right? Because there's something in you that is still fighting, that is still resisting with those things. So you've carried this from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, trying to feel it out. And let me tell you guys, we're coming to an end, right? So this may be your last lifetime, this may be your second to last lifetime, but it's probably like one of those, right? Because that's all the time we have left. So whatever realizations you're having, because you're here, speaks a lot to where you are, right, in your lifetimes. But you're here to essentially perfect those parts of yourself so that you can reach those realizations, so that you can gain more light, so that you can go on to create new worlds and new realities for yourself. So this is intergenerational trauma. So in the second question, I want you to write everything that's coming up for you right now. Trust yourself. You may include any phrases, distinct thoughts, your lessons, words that are descriptive of your family's narrative, what you've understood and perceived your healing work to be, what you feel your intergenerational trauma specifically is. So feel free to just take a couple minutes to free write those things. Anything that's heavily coming up for you. You can use a bulleted list, you know, it doesn't need to be thoroughly written out, but yes, whatever you feel is coming up. And language is very difficult to explain such concepts, right, and such feelings, because we're very limited in the English language specifically. Like, we have the least amount of words. So I hope you guys are receiving this and that you're able to express yourselves the way that you need to. And if you ever need to go back and repeat, you know, open, open, open. I'm open to seeing myself. I'm open to feeling myself. I'm safe. I'm held. I trust myself. Feel free to do that. It's a very comforting thing. And just give me a thumbs up or something when you're done. Okay. All right. So, these look funny. Um, so flowing into this life. So, you chose this life, right? You chose your bloodline. You chose the realizations that you need to have this lifetime and every lifetime. So that if you chose your realizations, that means you also chose your obstacles and challenges. You chose your blockages. You chose the specific trauma that you need to create transformation, right? There's a reason you chose your specific trauma. So wherever your wound lies is also yours to be accountable for. Now, accountability is not blame. This is not to say that you deserved whatever has happened for you in your life. This is to say that this happened and now is my responsibility to heal myself. I casted these characters to play this role. Why? Right? What are they here to show me? What are these experiences here to show me? What is this showing me about who I am? What lesson do I need to take with me? So the only reason that your light exists is because you had the darkness, right? The only reason you're able to be here right now with me is because you had the darkness, right? So there are things to be grateful for in this darkness and in these things that don't necessarily feel good, because gods don't understand human pain. They don't understand suffering. They understand transformation. They understand alchemy, right? So you're going to work according to that. So these aha moments, these realizations, they exist to perfect. So here's where we hit our block of questions, and I'm going to give you 1 minute per question just so that we can move along. But I want you to think about the ages of 7 to 14 right now, right? Place them in your mind. The ages of 7 to 14. What were you doing? Where were you living? Who were you with? What things happened? So I want you to take a minute and write bullet points of any traumatic events that pop up when you think of that time period. They can be broad, like repeated unhealthy sexual encounters with men, or they can be domestic violence to mom. And these are things that I'm thinking of for myself, right? So they can be broad things. So go ahead and take 1 minute to write down some bulleted traumatic events. All right. Now, what are sorry. Babe, there is a person named Honey High Eyes, that's her Instagram name, that's interested in taking this course. Can you message her directly and from Instagram and see like if she needs it, the link emailed? Okay, next question. How were your feelings and emotional expression managed or allowed? So how were you suppressed or how were you freed? What do you remember about that time about your feelings and emotions? So for me personally, there was a lot of suppression. I wasn't really allowed to express myself. A lot of my feelings and emotions came out as me having an attitude, but really I was just under a lot of stress, under a lot of duress. There was a lot of trauma happening at that time. I was living in a split household, so one household didn't know about things that were going on in the other. So take some time to write about like what was exactly happening at that time with your feelings and emotions. 1 minute, go. Okay, next question. What are 3 words that describe your relationship with yourself? Your overall relationship with yourself. Are you fluid? Are you more hardened? Do you punish yourself a lot? Are you delusional and like don't want to see anything about yourself? Are you kind of aloof? Are you loving? Are you warm? I would say for me, I have a combination of like motherly and loving, but also I get on myself a lot. Like, I wouldn't say punish, but like just critiquing, critiquing myself a lot. I can be kind of hardened to myself sometimes. Like, why do you feel like this right now? So yeah. So go ahead and do that. Okay, and final question. How did you perceive your mother at this time and her relationship to herself? How did you perceive your mother and her relationship to herself? So for me, I perceived my mother as angry, sad, tumultuous, unstable, not connected to her femininity, so wasn't very nurturing and wasn't really able to like receive love or receive care, receive gentleness, receive affection. She wasn't really affectionate, and she kind of had like this disdain and uncomfortable attitude about sex, very shameful. And I would say that I'm still working through this mirror, of being really connected to my femininity and honoring, nurturing, and really opening up when people give me love instead of closing and being like, don't know how I feel about that. A lot of times this mirror and how you perceive her and her relationship to herself will also be a reflection of how you perceive yourself and your relationship with yourself. Even if you don't want to admit it. All right. So all of these things intertwine, right? They kind of look like a cycle. So I'm going to try to do the cycle with my finger, but I don't know how it's going to work. Okay. So the way that you process your emotions, right, tells you about the way you're able to receive love, tells you the way you're able to express your love during intimacy and sex, right? So the way you are able to process your emotions tells you about the way you receive love, tells you about the way that you express love during intimacy and sex, tells you the way you relate and feel about yourself, right? Tells you the way that you perceive your imagination, your ability to create, masculine and feminine energy, tells you the way you process your emotions. You guys follow me? So all of these questions you just answered intertwine with each other like this. So the way that you process your emotions, if you restrict them, if you just let them fly, what you do with them, right, tells you the way you're able to receive love. Because if you're hardened and you suppress your emotions, then you're going to be blocked in receiving. If you're very chaotic with your emotions or you dismiss them, you may be needy, right? Tells you the way you're able to express love during intimacy and sex and your intentions for that, right? So are you giving sex and intimacy to gain this feeling of love and these feelings of connecting emotions, even though you really need that with yourself, right? Or are you having sex because you feel like it's an obligation? We have all these different ideas about sex and sexuality. So this also tells you the way that you relate and you feel about yourself. And then it goes into the way that you perceive your imagination, your ability to create anything, your life, babies, an art project, a research paper, your dreams, whatever. Right? So then this is masculine and feminine energy combined, and then it tells you the way you process your emotions. So your mother is your number one programmer. Your mother is your number one programmer. She is going to hold everything you need, right? She is a symbol. She is a symbol for your womb. That's why when you think of mother, you think of moon, you think of womb, right? She is a symbol for your womb. So her attributes and the way that you perceive her act as clues to lead you deeper into yourself, to unlock the secrets of your own womb, right? So in her lies everything you need to understand what's going on in your womb. The way that you remember her from childhood, the way that you see her now in your relationship now, right? That's all indicative of the way that it's like a direct reflection. It's a direct reflection. So you can literally study your mother. You can study her personality. You can study the things about her that you didn't like, right? You can study the things that she would hide. She is a symbol. You study symbols to understand yourself, right? So everything you're seeing in her is also inside of you. Everything. So emotion is so important. Emotion is key. Feelings and imagination are the only things that are real. The way you feel and what you can imagine are the only things that are real in this reality, right? So emotions act as messengers that lead you deeper into yourself. And because majority of us were taught not to express our emotions, not to trust our emotions, not to be in tune, right? So we block it, shun it, shut it down, stifle it, or to be chaotic in it, wallow in it. I wallow in my emotions, okay? And then I get through them the next day. That's what I do. But anyways, or, allow them to destroy us. So emotions act as messengers. So we feel it, but then we need the masculine to direct it, right? So when we feel it, we imagine it like this, and we're just out. Everything's out, 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 out. I'm emoting, right? Masculine goes, oh, okay, let's bring it in. There's a solution. There, there, there. Make a decision. That's masculine. Masculine energy says make a choice. There, I'm going there. My emotions are now directed. I'm allowed to have them. I'm allowed to feel them. I'm not blocking them. I'm not stifling them, right? But I am going to direct them and focus them into something. All right. So let me know if you guys have any questions thus far. Any comments, anything you want to say. Let me know if you guys are good. You want to continue. We're like not even halfway, but we're almost halfway. Let me know when you guys are ready to continue. Love that. I'm so happy, Fatima. I'm so happy you came. Brenda's supposed to come when she gets off of work, but she doesn't get off work till, I think she said 3. 2 or 3. Yay, I'm so happy. Okay, I actually have a question. If we are these things that we see in our mothers, for me, this meaning, hold on. For me, this is meaning acknowledging all the bad, then how do we transform it? I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that. So I can say right now that, sorry, for the bad that you feel exists in your mother, what would be the starting point of the solution would be to look at the root, right? So if the roots are going to be these: fear, guilt, shame, anger, and all of them correlate with the chakra, right? So the root chakra is fear, the base is fear, right? The womb holds guilt, the solar plexus holds shame, and the heart holds anger. So if you can identify what's going on, then you know which energy points to hit, right? I mean, this is a whole other lecture, but all of these energy centers correlate every 7 years. So the root 0 to 7, sacral 7 to 14, solar 14 to 21, heart 21 to 28, right? So this is really about working through that trauma and what your mother didn't heal in herself, right? And learning to have unconditional love and forgiveness for the parts of her that are wounded, right? Because when you extend this compassion and this unconditional love to others or to yourself, it automatically goes both ways. It transfers both ways. So, okay, so let's continue. So let's get into trauma and manifestation. So I'm going to talk more about what I was just talking about a little bit later, but I want to continue because I'm sure it's in here. Okay, so hold on to that question also, and if you feel that I haven't answered it by the end, then ask me again, but I'm pretty sure we're going to go through that. So this reality is a projection of your subconscious mind, right? Like we talked about. And with that is your secrets, the darkness, everything that's hidden exists inside of the womb, right? So when there's a lot of confusion or chaos happening through life circumstances, this is your internal state of being. If there's a lot of anger, there's fighting, there's drama, there's conflict, right? This is a reflection of what's going on internally. So your unhealed trauma must manifest themselves in physical form. They must manifest themselves in this physical reality because you, right? You created this. So you must also be aware of them. So the way that spirit makes you aware of them is by showing you signs and symbols in your physical reality. And once you're aware of them, you can understand what's going on internally, and then you can transmute them. So what you feel must come to light, and this happens through triggering events. So past lives and your family lineage, right? So you have your past lives, you have your ancestral lineage here, and then you have your childhood. So everything that you need to work through in your past lives and your ancestral lineage will make an appearance in your childhood in the form of a symbol, right? And then it'll reappear throughout your life to get your attention, to get you to see it. So your ability to identify this pattern and apply a solution belongs to who? Your divine masculine. Right? Your ability to actually see that this pattern is happening. Okay, this happened when I was 7, this happened when I was 9, this happened when I was 15, this happened when I was 21, right? Your ability to see that and then identify the pattern and make a solution that belongs to the divine masculine energy. So, here's the channel. When each secret in the womb has been found and unlocked, felt and explored, and brought back to its origin in purity, only then is there mastery. So here's the thing. When you're talking about healing the womb, you're not just talking about healing a human trauma. So if, like we talked about, your mother deals a lot with heavy grief or anger, right? That's inside of you. So you want to be able to bring those things back to their origin in the sense of taking yourself out of humanity. So connect with a deity, connect with an ancestor, Get into ritual work. Actively process that trauma. Talk about it. Write about it over and over and over and over. Ask Spirit what it needs to show you, what it needs to teach you, right? Because this isn't about just sifting through the human emotions and then healing those emotions, right? It's about taking yourself out of space and time so that you can realize that you are not of this plane, that these lessons are here to show you how infinite, how brilliant, how beautiful, how safe, how limitless you actually are. So you cannot experience your light in its full power if you cannot also identify the shame. You cannot experience creativity and flowingness and emotional expression and sexuality if you cannot also identify the grief, right? What are you mourning? What are you holding on to? Where is the sadness? It's allowing yourself to be opened up to understanding that everything is here to teach you about yourself, right? And about who you are as a cosmic being, not as a human being. So, when you can feel all of these things, right? And then you can understand, okay, my origin is cosmic. My origin is a God, right? Or a God of a God, a creator of a God. That's who I am. Then you can take yourself out of that shit because you realize it's not real. Does that make sense? So I'm going to get into more of the actual healing and processing work in the Healing Ourselves section, which is second to last. Okay, so crossing over into the earth realm to create tangibility. So what happens is we start out as spirit, right? We cross over into the earth realm so we can then create tangibility and give physical form to everything happening inside of us, right? So we create tangibility for pain and for transformation through these life events to make it personal. Because our light that we experience as a soul form or in a soul form reaches to everything we can create, to all these new realities, to all these new worlds. So right now, I want you to reread your notes for Heket, and I want you to write what you feel is the story of the womb. So what does it do? How are you able to transcend this reality and realize your godhood through this mythological story? Which will also be another answer to your question. Yes. So right now, you're reading codes. That's what you're doing. You're recognizing signs and symbols and the way they translate into this reality. I want you to practice this right now because I want you to understand how to do it. I'm going to give you the answers, or my answer, what I felt, what I perceived. Your answer can be what you perceive because you have a different path than me, right? You have different understandings and different realizations you need to reach. So I'll give you my personal answer after you're done. So reread your notes for Heket and write what you feel is a story of the womb. How are you able to transcend this reality and realize your godhood through this mythological story? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. Go. Okay. So while you guys were writing, I asked Spirit, how am I doing? Like, just to see. So I got third eye. So I'm doing a good job with using my feelings and being clear about my messages and what I'm seeing. I'm so happy. And then I got sacred union. So I'm doing a good job with combining my feminine and masculine energy and expressing desires. Just thought I would share. Okay, so my answer. The womb makes the intangible tangible. It brings from the spirit realm and it bursts into this realm. It holds and it carries our deepest secrets and it makes them tangible. So it puts them in tangible form, right? It puts them in physical form. They reflect in our lives every single day. It heightens during your cycle, right? So the attributes I put for the womb were discovery, exploration, a willing death, curiosity, innocence, childlike joy, nurturing, receiving, and merging with the divine masculine, sex and creation, imagination, the mother. Does anyone need me to repeat that? So it holds and it carries our deepest secrets and makes them tangible. It puts them in physical form because it carries its own separate consciousness, right? So this reflects in our lives every single day. It heightens during our cycle. Discovery, exploration, willing death, curiosity, innocence, childlike joy, nurturing, receiving, merging with the divine masculine, sex and creation, imagination, the mother. So that's what I have for that answer. So the next question is, why is the womb a space of self-mastery? How does it enable you to master yourself? So why is the womb a space of self-mastery? How does it enable you to master yourself? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. 1 minute, actually. I would play music, but I don't want YouTube to delete my video. All right. So my answer was, it contains everything you need to feel pain and to transcend it. It is meant to operate as a portal and a means of otherworldly birth. So it's meant to operate as a portal and a means to birth things that you may not have ever imagined to be a part of this world, right? So it births feelings, dreams, creation. It manifests literally in the physical. So the way that you are knowing that you're going towards self-mastery is when you begin to see things in your physical reality that are reflective of the state that you want your womb to be in. Right? So flowingness, freedom, support, love, etc. You attract experiences, you attract people, situations, things like that. All right, do we need a break? Let me know. Say break or go if you want me to continue. Break or go, because we've been here for an hour and 50 minutes now, almost 2 hours. And we are exactly halfway done. I did not realize it was going to be this long. Let me know what you guys need. A lot of times when people take my lectures, they're so on fire, like, go, go. I just want to go through the whole thing, go, go. And then at the end, they're like, ah. And then a week later, they're like, do. Because that's what happens. You receive all this light, and then you got to hit the dark. You got to hit the wall. It's going to come. Okay, quick break. All right. What's a quick break? I'm just kidding. Like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What's a quick break? Let's do 5 minutes. 5 minutes? Is that good? I need to stretch. Sitting in this cross-legged position, talking to y'all. 7 minutes? I'm just kidding. Good, I'm glad. Oh, I'm stretching. Okay. Oh, let's do 5 minutes. 5 minutes, we're gonna do 5 minutes, okay? See you guys at 3:07. 3:07. Is there a way I can like go out of here? Ooh. Guys, I logged off, so it's not gonna be working. No, the video length, the video length ends at 8 hours. Are you guys still there? I wasn't logged on. I logged off and then I came back. It was still here, I just wasn't here. I'm reading your guys' comments like, okay, babe, thank you, if you're watching. Okay, babe, thank you, if you're watching. You can watch on your computer, too. Talking to Corey. Whew, is right. So it looks like everyone is back. Okay, I'm texting Corey. Okay. So. They're feeling good, feeling real honored, and loving this experience so far. Okay, so I'm going to start with the channel, or end with the channel for that section. So the channel is, as long as we are in the dark about the truths of the womb, and not just its mighty power, but also how to access and wield that power, the longer we will loop these traumas and the longer we will remain unhealed. Aw, poor baby. He said his laptop died. I'm telling him he can come get the charger. Good, I'm glad you got your water and your snacks. All right, so as I was saying, as long as we are in the dark, all these questions, like I'm trying to teach. I'm such a dork. All right, so as long as we are in the dark about the true purpose of the womb, right? Because we get so much jibber jabber about the womb and what it does and all this, and a lot of people aren't very clear about it. We know that it's powerful, right? We know that it stores trauma, but we don't really know the extent to which, you know, it's happening. This wasn't like this before, huh? I guess it's okay. I had it flipped though. Hold on, let me see. There we go. Okay. So it's not only about knowing how powerful this energetic space is, but also how to access, how to use it. Okay? So the longer we will loop these traumas, and the longer we will cycle, and remain unhealed. So cleansing and clarity are necessary. When we pour out, we then have room to receive. So we gain clarity through the exploration of death in every way, through testing your God power. That's why Heket would jump off the waterfalls, right? Bite herself with snakes, walk through fire. These are symbols, right? You're testing your God power. What can I do? Through experimentation, right? Experimentation in ritual work, experimentation in ceremony, experimentation using your gifts, experimentation receiving signs and symbols and decoding them. There's a lot of experimentation that needs to happen. And what's happening is when you're testing this death and you're testing your God power, you're realizing and you're understanding that you are immortal. No matter what kind of death you experience, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, an idea, a thought stream, a behavioral pattern, a belief, right? You learn that you are immortal and what that looks like, right? So this is about how you can refigure, reimagine, reintegrate these lessons you've felt during your time here on Earth to build worlds that are true to who you are. So who are you? Right? Outside of everything that humanity casts upon you, who are you? I want this guy to die. It's really irritating me. Okay. All right, guys. So any questions thus far? Any, for those of you that are just joining, you're going to have to catch the other half when I post this. But I'm going to post it and make the link available, and it's going to be private. So just those who have attended today will be able to view it. And I'll keep it open for a week or two. I haven't decided how long yet. But I want you guys to be able to have some realizations because they're going to be happening, right? A week or two after the live is over, and go back and be like, oh, she said this exactly. My notes say this and she said this. Aw, how beautiful. You did that, not me. Okay. It's how you feel, right? It's a symbol of how you feel. You feel that the clouds have parted and the light is shining through you. You made the sun come out. All right, so we're going to go into menstrual moon cycles. This is our next section. It's a mythology. It's a lot of mythology, right? Yes. All right, so menstrual moon cycles. So, we all know that when we're on our cycle, we have a depletion of energy and our emotions are heightened, right? Because your intuition and your ability to feel and to recognize signs and symbols is also heightened. So, 28 days average is the time period between each cycle. So any major irregularities are rooted in emotionality. So if you have an extremely irregular cycle, it means that your emotions are either super stifled and suppressed, or they're very chaotic, right? It can be either spectrum. If your period is very light, it can be either that you are emotionally clear or that your feelings are suppressed. You're suppressing something in some way, you're hardening, and you're not allowing yourself to feel. If you have a very heavy period, it means that you have lots of emotions to process. You're feeling very chaotic, right? So ovulation and menstruation act as poles of light and dark. Ovulation is light, your menstruation is dark, right? They act as poles. And this is important to know because when you're hitting your menstruation, whether it's on the new moon or the full moon or whenever it is, it's time to release, right? It's time to feel that darkness, feel into the subconscious mind, feel into the mother, right? When you're ovulating, it's your time to affirm who you are, right? And it almost is like feminine and masculine, right? Your feminine needs to be able to swirl and become chaotic in that darkness. And you need to become hysterical, right? Because you're feeling so much, you have to allow yourself that. You're releasing. With ovulation, it's more masculine energy where you're affirming who you are. You're affirming this new reality you've created from the release, right? So the release is the tipping point, the pouring, and the affirmation is the refilling. Right? So masculine energy not only affirms, but it expels power, right? That's why you feel this urge to be sexual, to create, your skin is supple, right? You're glowing. You have this glow about you. That's directly connected to your emotion. So in ancient times, they used to refer to this kind of liquid as soma, also known as sama, and it meant the creator of gods, or the god of gods, right? The creator of gods. So drinking this soma was known to give immortality or to deify. So when a regular pharaoh would drink soma, they would then become a deity, or they would then become immortal. They would consume soma in copious quantities. So it's the same as like Alice in Wonderland, Alice in Underland, right? So you're going into the underworld. If you notice in Alice in Wonderland, she's eat me, drink me, eat me, drink me. That's reflective of period blood. Down the rabbit hole, hair, right? Easter. That's period blood. It's all representative of that. So essentially drinking the subconscious mind, right? Drinking consciousness, your ability to see your darkness, to see your immortality, and to see your power, to see your life, right? Your life-giving qualities. So this specific reality was created through primordial waters, through melanated blood. They were known as the waters of noon. What do you guys think soma is? What y'all think these niggas was drinking to make them immortal? Let me know. Yep. Menstrual blood. Exactly. So menstrual blood, the creator of gods, the god of gods. They would drink soma to give them immortality, to deify. So menstrual blood was the first form of intelligence and primal connection. Menstrual blood was the first form of intelligence and primal connection. It's also directly linked to water, to oceans, rivers, lakes, streams. Water is a symbol for menstrual blood. Right, so let's get into the cycle. So your very first clot is the first sign of connection. So you know when you start your period, you instantaneously feel the blood be like, bloop, right? Everybody feels that. It's like, oh shit, I just started my period. It's like you know that you just started your period, right? What this is doing is it's activating your pituitary gland, right? Your pituitary gland is at the base of your skull, and it resembles a cowrie shell, which is also symbolic of what? A vagina. A vagina. So your pituitary gland is at the base of your skull, and then you have your pineal gland, which sits at your third eye location, right? This is shaped kind of like a cervix or like the head of a penis, right? So your pituitary gland activates your pineal gland. The vagina activates the penis, right? The penis activates the vagina. It goes both ways. So this is creation of the mind. What happens back here in your pituitary gland is that releases melanin, right? Your pineal gland picks that up. It feeds your pineal gland. It feeds it, feeds it, feeds it. So when you're receiving all of this light, that's what's happening. You're making a connection. You create the mind, you create the reality. Creation of the mind and creation of the physical is the same thing. It's the same operation. So the very first blood that you experience monthly is a direct reflection of where you are internally. So this is a symbol, right? The pouring out of the blood is a symbol for the beginning of your work. Your physical reality is telling you to begin working. Working means working in the dark, working in the underworld, working with the subconscious mind. You start working with spirit on a conscious level. So we bled less in ancient times, right? You always hear that debate, like, oh, we didn't used to have periods, we we didn't used to bleed. No, we've always bled. We just didn't bleed as much, right? Because if our mothers knew who they were, if our mothers knew that they were cosmic, right, we wouldn't be carrying as much trauma as we are now. Things have happened like colonization, rape, murder, war, right? We now carry all of those things, which makes our blood heavier because we're processing more, right? We're doing more work. That's what it's symbolizing. And we made it so, right? We made it so. Sorry. We made it so because we were in a downfall anyway. The time of the Egyptian period, we're in a downfall anyway. So we have to hit the bottom, the dark, so that we can realize our power, right? We cannot have feeling powerless, feeling helpless, feeling defeated, rape, war, colonization, right? Without stepping back into and reclaiming that power. And that's where we are right now, in that space. So the beginning of your journey to the underworld is found in your period blood. The experience itself is coded. It is a symbol, right? So it's less about physicality, more about symbology. So where were you when you felt your first blood come out of the month, right? So when we talk about your period hitting, we all feel that gush sensation, right? The blood's out. We're like, oh, we just started our period. Where are you? What is happening? What are you doing? What did someone just say to you? So I'm going to give you 2 examples from last month and this month for myself. So last month, I was outside playing with River, and he started going, ow, 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 like getting mad. And I'm like, oh my God, like I think something's biting him, like a spider or a mosquito or something. So he runs to me, and I see like this huge welt, like on the back of his calf, and it's a spider bite. And I'm showing Corey, and I'm like kind of panicky, kind of feeling a little bit fearful, like, what do I do? Sorry guys, it like went out, it said reconnecting, and now it's connected again. Is everyone still here? Is it okay? Sorry, it disconnected again. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. My Wi-Fi looks okay. I mean, looks the same as it always does. It's weird. I read on the description that these should last 8 hours. So I'm hoping it doesn't like cut me off, but okay, good. All right. So that was happening, right? So there was a lot of fear inside of me. I was feeling fearful, and I was fearful of not only just at the time, I was really having a lot of thoughts surrounding River's future. Like, am I a good enough mom? Like, is he going to like be able to guide himself in his life with my direction? Like, just having a lot of insecurities and critiques of myself, like usual, but they were heightened at this time, right? And so I not only had fear of something happening to River, but also fear that maybe like me as a mother, I'm not good enough for him. That's where my fear was during that cycle. So when I experienced that blood come out, we were literally standing there. Experienced that blood come out, we were literally standing there looking at River's welt on his leg. So that was symbol, right? So that full moon, when I got my cycle, I released, or new moon, I'm sorry, I get my cycle on the new moon, I released that. So this month, I was standing in the kitchen talking to Corey, and I was making him a sandwich or something, and I was asking him what he wanted on his sandwich, and he was like, you know how I like it, blood, right? So that speaks to like what's happening in our romantic relationship, in our intimate dynamic. Like, do I know what he likes? Am I tuned in and tapped into his intimate desires and to my own? Do I know what I like, right? Because everything's showing me something about who I am. Am I confident and in tune with my sensuality, with my intimacy, with my sexual desires? So that was the message for this cycle. So you will always receive a specific message. You just have to know how to decode, right? So do we have any thoughts or questions thus far? No? We're good? We can continue? So let's get into the emotional aspect of working with our blood. So the woman essentially turns inward during this time, right? You feel less energized. You want to sleep more. You want to be alone. A lot of times you have feelings of isolation or of like deep intimate bonding with your sisters or with your friends. I would say that it does. The phase of the moon in which you have your period does. And there's actually a book by... I'll send you guys the book after. There's a book where you can like study the moon and understand what's going on, but I'm sure you can just Google it as well. Like, what is the moon phase of this day, and then what does that phase represent? So for me, I don't personally do that. I just look up the symbology that's happening around my blood and then receive messages from spirit that way. So if you know the moon, right, and you know what's happening, you'll know the changes in your body. If you want to be super specific and studious, yes. So when you're on your cycle, entering into trance-like states is the most magical thing that you can do. And a lot of times we do this unknowingly, right? So if we're always desiring to sleep, to rest, to daydream, to write, to bathe, to just lay down and have the heating compress. And we're oftentimes going into trance states even subconsciously. So if you're consciously entering into trance-like states, this is the most magical. So prophecy and vision happen the strongest while menstruating. This is why I was able to do all of these channels on the first day of my menstruation, or first to third day of my menstruation. So this is how these channelings occurred. So all shamans who guided early societies were women. The dark moon is a woman's magical peak, right? So it's turned inward. You're able to access the inner workings of your life and your psyche through this time. So remember how earlier I said when women are hysterical during their period or they have a lot of emotions? This is womb consciousness. This is womb consciousness. It is not a negative thing. It is womb consciousness. So this is a condition of shamanistic possession. So what's happening when you're having these overflows of emotion and this inability to direct it, and all you're doing is like feeling. This is shamanistic possession. So this is a trance-like state to attain prophecy. So you can enter a trance-like state when you're in this space of feeling, and you will attain prophecy. You will get messages from spirit, clear, strong signals, right? That's what's happening. So in indigenous practice, the whole village would stand around and wait for these channels, right? And the way I see it in my mind is there's like a tent, right? And there's a lot of women in there. We're all doing what we want to do, whether it's laying down, sleeping, eating, meditating. And then we come out to the village when we're ready, and we give these channels, we speak these channels to the village. And then they conduct life and they conduct movement according to what we say. The catch is, you need this particular elixir activated to get to the stargates, or to get to this portal of understanding and of hearing, feeling, seeing clearly, right? So we have all of this blood, and this blood is revealing our secrets. I know that in my life, there's been a lot of fear surrounding motherhood, surrounding being good enough, being critical of myself. That's in my blood, right? As well as like intimacy and sex, and making sure that I'm doing those things for self-fulfilling reasons, that I'm connected to myself in those things. Those are secrets that my womb is holding, right? So in order to receive these channels clearly and to be able to access these channelings, these visions, these prophecies, you have to activate the blood. So by activate the blood, that means you know who you are, right? And you're working with your blood intentionally. You're intentionally releasing. You're intentionally reading your signs and symbols. You're intentionally affirming who you are and why you're here. You're intentionally charging the blood with your thoughts, right? That's a part of activation. It's saying this blood is doing this because I say, because I believe. Okay, so we're gonna get into blood magic, rituals, and ceremony. So period blood is the blood that purifies, right? It's the blood that transforms. Your blood can be programmed, and the intention is what you make it. So all of your bodily fluids can be programmed, but because blood has the highest amount of DNA, right? It's the most potent, the most coagulated, then it's also the most powerful, the most divine. So you change your blood through meditation, you change your blood through magical work, you change your blood through channeling. And you use your thoughts, you use your mind, you use your feelings, And you use these trance-like states to access spirits outside of you. You know what I mean. Spirits that will illuminate what's within you. So, you change your blood through meditation, through magical work, and through channeling. So essentially, when you start the process of changing that blood, you now are creating Stargate material. So if you're dead inside, right? You're not working through your trauma, you're not accessing spirit, you're not doing these things, and you feed your blood to someone, essentially, it's not going to activate the immortality because you don't know that you're immortal, right? You don't know you're a deity. You must know who you are. So that's how you activate the blood. That's how you create the Stargate, is through this meditation, through this magical work, and through this channeling. If Corey gives me oral sex on my period, that activates something within him and within me, right? So Stargates bring you to a new world, and the mythology links it to the entire necessary transformation, right? So mythology links period blood to the entire necessary transformation of who you are. And because mythology links it, mythology is what? Our science, right? So that's how we're learning about who we are, what properties we contain, and how we escape the realm of space and time. So when we get into ritual work, I'm going to make this very simple. There's a list that I have written that is a lot of times how I go about doing rituals and ceremonies. Rituals happen frequently, like every week, every day. Ceremonies you can do once a month, once every 3 months. You can even do a ceremony once a week. But basically, rituals repeat. Ceremonies is like a one grand thing. Long, you're flowing throughout it and you're doing like everything, basically. So first, I always cleanse, right? I cleanse my space, I cleanse myself. That's always my first step. So I'll organize, I'll clean, or I'll do a salt bath, or I'll do cleanse my hands in salt, rub the soles of my feet in salt, dip them in water, hold them over fire, right? That's another way to cleanse. So the next thing I do is I create my space and I set an intention. So I'll create an altar, or I'll create my bath. I can use my bath railing as an altar space. Wherever I'm doing my ritual, I always have symbols that remind me of something, which is why I have an altar for you guys today, right? Because this acts as a portal. It acts as a portal to communicate. You're saying, hi, Spirit, I see you. I'm adding the elements, fire, water, earth, right? Earth can be herbs, soil, flowers, leaves, whatever the case may be. Crystals are earth. And the breath of life is air. You can do smoke with incense, smoke with sage or Palo Santo, whatever it is that you decide. So you're creating your portal, right? And you're choosing the symbols that are reflecting and representing what it is that you are intending to create. So then you can do a burning ritual where you're burning candles or paper to release. I release X, I release X, I release X, I release X. I do that a lot. Sign your name at the bottom, burn it. Next, I'll go into a meditation or a trance-like state. However you can achieve a trance-like state is whatever. That's totally up to you. So you can scry, like stare at the candle flame. You can stare at the wall. You can listen to music. You can dance. You can take a bath. You can meditate. You can do grounding work, however it is that you go into a trance. Then I do different activities. So I'll free write and I'll allow them to speak through me. I'll do mirror magic and I'll allow them to speak through me. I'll feel the womb and I'll ask for messages and I'll write them. So a lot of this, what you're doing is you're communing with spirit. But to commune with spirit, you also want to be able to receive the messages Spirit is giving you. So it's not just about doing, right? It's about feeling and actually working with Spirit. So, like, what symbols are coming up for me right now? If I close my eyes, what am I seeing? You can see a crocodile. You can see a circle. You can see a pillar. You can see stairs, a staircase. You can see a water bottle. You can see smoke. Whatever it is, write it down, because Spirit is communicating to you. Even if you're going through a series of images and you're seeing like 10 different things, write them down, because they are symbols and they're telling you a story. You're not going to decode them during your ritual, right? But you're in the space of receiving. So after that part is over, you can give gratitude to Spirit, to yourself, for being able and attentive and present and just praising yourself. And then you nurture yourself. So I always eat like a really big meal after ceremonies or rituals. Sometimes I like to go out to eat, or like, the drive-through, not really out, because it's a lot of energy, like mixing. I will like watch my favorite cartoons. I will take a bath if I haven't yet. I'll spend time with my family, so doing things that really nurture you and make you feel held. Because doing a ritual or a ceremony, ceremony specifically, can be very vulnerable and revealing. Like, you want to be as bare and as raw as you possibly can during a ritual, because it's a safe space and you're communing with Spirit, right? So a ritual can look like any of those things by themselves, right? So every day you can choose a different symbol for yourself that you have. Like, I use my necklaces as deities, right? That's a ritual for me. Every day you can burn a candle and set an intention for that candle, get ready for the day, and when you're done, you can blow it out and thank Spirit. Every day you can meditate and go into a trance state and write one, symbol that you receive. Every day you can, create a sacred space for yourself, whether that be internally or externally. So those are some ideas for you. So you use your blood in this sense by, you can do a plethora of things. You can bury it in the earth. You can take your blood and you can put it in something like this, or smaller. You can speak into the blood, because that is charging. Water and blood are physical, right? So you can speak into them. You can dip your finger in the blood, right? And you can put it under your tongue, right? And then you can speak. You can take the blood and you can put it on your third eye. You can put it on your throat, on your heart, on your womb. You can rub it across your womb. So there are all kinds of things that you can do with your blood. You can do a sex ritual with your partner or alone. You can put it inside of a candle, like around the wick, and then burn the candle. So there are a number of things that you can do. It's all about what your intentions are and what you want this ritual or this ceremony to symbolize for you, what you want to receive, what you want to know about yourself, right? All right, guys, do we have any questions at this point? We're doing really good. We're like almost done. I would say we have another maybe 40 minutes. Let me know if you guys are good, you want to continue, or if you have any questions. Going back to healing your humanity and the parts of you that are reflected in your mother that are bad, you can be doing these rituals and things to unearth and to reveal to yourself some of the things that you need to know about who you are. How do we conserve or store blood? I don't usually conserve or store my blood. I would say, because what happens to blood over time is it dries and it hardens. So a lot of times I just leave it out in something. You can try refrigerating it. I honestly don't know how that would go, but usually I use fresh blood. So like when I first wake up in the morning, I know that I'm gonna have like some blood come out, so I'll like put something under myself to catch it, and then I'll use that blood like the same day or later on. So yeah. Okay, cool. I love you, Fatima. Okay. So, I wrote down the moons for you guys. I'm not going to read through all of these because it's unnecessary for me to do that because I gave them to you. But basically, these are what each of the moons mean. And you can look deeper into them. You can feel them out and what you know, desire. So in October, we have the blood moon. The veil is very thin between us and the spirit world, right? So I got my October moon a week ago, about. I just got off my period like 4 days ago. So my period was during October, yeah. So I've already experienced my October moon, and it was really prophetic for me, right? I received all of those channels, all of those downloads, all of those understandings about the womb and what they do. And it's also a space to honor ancestors, call in ancestors, and there's also the Day of the Dead. So that's beautiful, okay. All right, so we're getting into the aspects of healing ourselves. And the number one thing to do when healing your womb is looking at the relationship you have with the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So this energy really has to change as a collective in order to be fully integrated and healed, because everyone with melanin is basically interrelated, right? We possess a lot of similar traumas, a lot of similar life experiences, a lot of similar pain, right? And within this pain is, I'm about to kill this fly, you guys. Yes. Oh. Killed it. Ah! So happy. Okay. So, the masculine contains the electricity and the energy. The feminine cultivates and nurtures, right? So this is your pineal gland and your pituitary gland. It's the merging of the masculine and the feminine energy. It's so, so necessary. I feel like I wrote something more in you guys' outline. Let me see. No, I didn't. Okay. Oh, kind of. Okay. So, here comes the channeling of Aaliyah. So I've been being called to Aaliyah like my whole life. Like I've always been in love with her, but I never actually knew why. But more specifically, I would say for the past couple of weeks to a month, I've been like really enthralled by her. And you guys know because I'm always posting her images on my story. And I knew that she had something she needed to communicate with me, but I wanted to wait until I was channeling for this lecture and for myself to really get into depth. So basically, Aaliyah was a Capricorn, right? She had a Virgo moon. So she was essentially the father and the mother, right? Because Capricorn is father, Virgo is the mother. The Virgo mother is very meticulous, very particular, very critical, very like always making sure your needs are met, always making sure you're okay. Yeah, so essentially that's what she represented in her embodiment. So for those of you that didn't see my live yesterday, if you're watching her interviews, you'll notice that like back in the 90s, her interviews were very like innocent and spunky and happy and joyous and like very clear and true to her. But if you look at the interviews like right before her debut album of Aaliyah, there's a 5-year gap in there. She changes. Like her energy is totally different. And you can tell that she's answering questions the way that she wants people to receive her. And answering them the way that she knows is socially appropriate. So it feels very disingenuous. Like, if you're reading her energy, you're like, you don't seem like you feel blessed. Like, what you talking about? So she knew of the occult and she studied it. And in that 5-year span, that's what was happening. So her music was channeled and her symbols were consciously embedded in her music and incorporated into her work and into her videos. So she was very fearless of death. She did not give a fuck. Like, she was not afraid to die. She was not afraid. She really didn't want to be here, and she knew that she was serving a purpose and that her time was limited and that it was time for her to go soon. She wasn't interested in, like, building a life and having a family and having kids and, you know, continuing this humanity forever. Like, she was very interested in sex, in partnerships, in death, in the exploration of romantic relationships, of the feminine and the masculine. So she knew that she was going to die. She was very much so into creation, and she really exalted the divine masculine. And she was very about merging the two. So if you notice in her music videos, like, she is always either speaking up to the divine masculine in the sense of, like, at your best, you are love. You know, like, there are times that I'm not what I say I'm all about. Accountability, right? Like, but we both are unconditional love, period. You know, I miss you, resolution. She's talking to Timberland on the phone and she's telling him what he did and he's telling her what she did. There's accountability on both ends, right? And they're both saying, I want to reach a resolution. If you watch that video, there's snakes, Kundalini energy and power. She understood that primal part of us, right? That was in the subconscious mind. Going through that blue thing where she's sitting on the chair and it's like flashing, portals, DNA, right? The coiling, DNA. So More Than a Woman is very futuristic, right? It's very like cosmic. It looks real spacey. That was intentional, right? Because we are more than just women or men or them, androgynous. We are more than human beings. We are gods. So she was very private and she was very secret, and that's why a lot of times when you look at her, you're like, Dark Mother. That's who she was, Dark Mother. So like I said, she had these videos, resolution. She had try again, persistence, 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 experimentation. There was one time someone asked her, like, what is this music video really, you know, speaking about? Like, and she said some bullshit ass answer. She was like, it's just saying that, like, you know, if there's a man and he's just trying to pursue me, to just try again. I looked at her like, bitch, you know damn well that's not what you meant. That was her little made up answer for the interview. It was so obvious. I'm like, duh. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you're reading it, it's like she's saying dust yourself off and try again, dust yourself off and try again. Basically, y'all's energy is dusty, and you are more than willing to always have a fresh start. Always claim your godhood. Right. Okay. Let's move on. So, Rock the Boat was a ritual. So she knew she was going to die after that. It was over. She knew it was a wrap. So she put a whole ritual in the Rock the Boat music video. First of all, she's on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Oceans represent what? The womb, right? The whole video, they're doing belly motions. They're showing on the camera the bellies. They're showing belly, waist beads. She's always has her belly exposed in like every scene besides the mermaid scene. So she's basically you know, in the part where she's an underwater mermaid, creation of this realm. Remember the mythology I told you guys about? She's underwater, submerged in water, submerged in the womb. She's moving her hips, she's activating the womb. She's on water and she's on sand. And also her and her dancers, there's a scene where she's dancing and it looks like she's underwater, but it's like a green screen. Which is representative of being inside of the womb. She's wearing colors, the red, which is fire around her eyes, but also of what? Menstrual blood. She's giving the breath of life. She's singing, you know, so she's using all of the elements to incorporate in this ritual. And what she's talking about is creation. She's talking about sex. She's talking about merging. And if she would have had men in that video, it never would have been put out, because it would be too obvious. But that's what she's talking about. She's talking about the merging of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And she was all about exalting the divine masculine because she knew that that was the key to heal the womb. And it sounds very counter. You know, the womb is a feminine portal, right? It's a feminine space. But you need the other half, the divine masculine, to unlock or fill up the rest of that cup. So, so when we're seeing this hyper feminine energy, or this toxic feminine energy, it looks like hyper masculinity. It looks like aggression. It looks like chaos. It looks like a constant victim state of mind. So it's always trying to compensate for a lack of masculine energy, whatever it looks like, whatever that looks like for them. So a lot of times it looks like masculine energy, right? But it's not. So like when you see women that are very hardened or that have anger or hatred towards men, what you'll often notice is that they will have a lot of chaos. They will be in a victim state, always fighting for something, trying to be an activist for humanity. You know, Black Lives Matter, Black Girl Magic, it's all about black women. I have no representation of black men on my page. I'm never uplifting black men. Where do black men go for unconditional love? Where do they go for support? Where's their healing circles? Because they need that too. But you know what? They're excluded from the healing journey, right? They're oftentimes excluded from it because these women are basically perpetrating, is that a word? Portraying that they are healed and that they're doing these healing circles and they're inviting, you know, all their sisters to join their circle, but they're intentionally excluding men who basically, they go to these healing circles, they talk shit about men and about you know, just the pain that they have endured from men, and then they leave those healing circles angry and feeling empowered, fake empowered, because they were able to share their story. But that's not healing, right? So basically they try to compensate for the lack of masculine energy somehow, and it often looks like toxic. Okay, they're giving vibes of hyper masculinity, right? And that's toxic femininity, basically. So the divine masculine masters direction, decision making. He is merciful. He possesses unconditional love. He is action. He's the sun. He's identity, light, power. He is exertion, energy exertion. He is accountability. If you do not have the divine masculine and you have not worked through that, then you cannot be accountable for yourself and for your healing. And that's why the solar plexus is above the sacral chakra. That is symbolic, right? It's saying that in order to transcend that victim state and become the creator, once you do that, you can access your power and you can start to shine your light. So you have to go through the victim state, realize you're the creator, and then you're able to shine your light. So your interactions with masculine energy reflect how you feel about men. So if you have negative experiences with men a lot, that reflects how you internally feel about men. If you're always getting catcalled, if you're always irritated with men, if men are always driving past you trying to pick you up, if men are so disrespectful to you, if they're always in your inbox being gross, that's a reflection of your relationship to masculine energy. And this is why I said y'all was going to want to fight me. So you have to be accountable for these interactions as the creator. Because let me tell you, when I meet a man, I can feel them, right? Just as I can feel women. A lot of women I feel are in a very victim state. They're not genuinely joyous. A lot of times they're angry. A lot of times they're bitter. A lot of times they're resentful, right? When I meet men, I can feel what's in them too. You know, they possess those same qualities if they're unhealed. But I have a lot of good experiences with men. Like the other week I was in Walmart trying to get like some little nails so that Corey could hang up some picture frames, and I didn't know which nails to get, and so I saw this guy walk past the aisle a couple times, and he was like this older guy, and I asked him for help, and he was so nice, and he just like showed me which nails, and he was like, oh yeah, and you can get these things if you don't have the little hook on the back of the frame and you want to get a small one, make sure you get this pack because it has more options for you. And he was just so nice, right? And I was like, oh, thank you so much, you reminded me of my dad. But I'm like, that's how I'm experiencing men, right? That's how I'm experiencing my view of men. So, right? So we have the energies of Heket, which is the womb, right? And Kutnum, who was her divine counterpart. So this divine union is the symbol for the merging, right? So every god usually has a goddess. Every goddess usually has a god. They usually all have consorts because it's about interjoining that divine masculine and feminine energy. They're just symbols for us, right? So Kutnum was huge and calm. He was very mellow, but he was also very electric. So he was always having sex. Him and Heket were always having sex, like all the time. Like all the time was like their favorite thing to do, right? But this is just a symbol for creation. So what Kutnum did was one of his symbols was the drum, right? So this is bringing the primordial rhythm to life. It's the heartbeat of the earth. So if you've ever gone to like a powwow or any type of indigenous celebration, the way that they play the drum sounds like the heart. So it's like do 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 do, because that's what the heart sounds like. So what this does is it conjures a trance-like state necessary for ritual work, and it's used to communicate with spirit. That's what the drum's for. So it brings ancient spirits and feelings to life. It brings them into this physical reality. So if you ever want to get into a trance state, either play a drum, have someone play a drum for you, or you can listen to like drums on YouTube. That's like the fastest way that I go into a trance. So it also induces a state of ecstasy when you go into a trance with the drum. So it's also conjuring of the Kutnum energy, right? You're going into a trance state, and this ecstasy that you're conjuring within you then is able to manifest. Does that make sense? So you're not stuck in this paradigm of humanity and everything is attacking me and everything is against me, right? Because you're understanding that these feelings that I'm conjuring are creating my reality. Not words, not other people and their actions towards you. The feelings that I'm creating inside of myself are then creating my reality. So this is essentially the story of creation. Heket and Kutnum, like Adam and Eve, right? So masculine is the physical and the knowing. Masculine is physical and knowing. So Kutnum built the human body out of red clay, period, blood, and earth, right? That's what we are composed of. And he also brought the knowing. So like, I know how to do this. I know the solution. I know who I am. I know the pattern. I know my identity. I know my worth. I know my fearlessness. That's what masculine energy brings to you. It solidifies, right? The feminine is fluid, it's moving, it's chaotic, it's expressive. So the feminine brings the emotional, it brings the spiritual. It's able to feel, to connect, to contact, to merge, right? And then the masculine then views, puts everything in its place. It affirms, it finds solutions, it molds, and it gives form. So it's about merging the two, right? So when we get into healing this, there are three parts to healing. Number one, open processing. This is your humanity. Open processing means feeling, writing, anything that you can do to get everything down. A voice recording, a video recording of yourself. This is processing your emotions, right? Your human emotions. This event happened to me when I was 9, and I still haven't allowed myself to feel all of the feelings from that event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in my mind to that event. I'm going to feel all of those feelings. My mom made me feel so shameful about X. Okay, let me give you guys a real tangible example from myself. So, for example, I remember one time I was like, sorry, I think I was like 7 or 8. My stepdad was asleep, and I asked him if I could go across the street to take a walk, because we lived in this like a duplex thing, and there was like this other duplex thing, and there was like a little alley that you could go across, and there was other duplex things. So I asked him if I could go for a walk, and he was like, yeah. So I leave and I come back home, and my mom's home, and my mom was like, where were you? Where did you go? Blah, blah, blah. Now I'm recognizing that was her fear, right? And I was like, I went for a walk because Dad said I could go for a walk. And he was like, I never said you could go for a walk. So I got my ass whooped, right? I got a spanking. And that was very shameful, because not only was it like, oh, I can't trust myself. I can't trust myself to make good decisions for myself, right? That was a core underlying belief. It was like, I can't trust him. I can't trust this man because he lied, and then I received physical pain from my mother as a result of that, right? And then it's also, I feel ashamed because I was spanked, and because I'm already big enough to express myself, and I'm having to like pull down my pants and get spanked. And then, there was also like, I feel fearful now because what if somebody tries to get me? Now that's internalized into me, like a fear of being kidnapped or a fear of someone hurting me, right? So those are all the different emotions in the spectrum that I was experiencing from this event. So a part of healing that would be open processing with myself, like I just did out loud with you. So I identified the root of how I was feeling, right? So the spirit work comes next. The spirit work is the Father. And I call it the Father because you are making a decision, right? You're making a choice to heal. You are taking accountability for that experience. And what you are doing is you are saying, okay, I'm realizing that fear belonged to my mom, give it back. That distrust belonged to my mom, give it back. That distrust for Darius, or my stepdad, belonged to him, give it back. Right? That shame is not mine to carry, give it back. I realized that I made a good decision for myself because I trusted myself. I was trusting of my surroundings, and they did not betray me. Who did, though? Right? So this isn't about really casting blame. It's about seeing myself clearly. I trust myself. I know who I am. I am filled with light. I am powerful. I am majestic. I am safe. I am held. Right? So it's all of those things, incorporating those things, and then creating a ritual to then affirm that and release that. I release that fear. I release that shame. I release that anger towards her. Right? I forgive her because she knows not what she does. I forgive her because that was her upbringing, because that's the way she was perceiving the situation, because she was afraid for me, right? I forgive him because he was just responding the way he wanted my mom for him to respond, you know, so he can keep his level of trust with her. Maybe he didn't know that my mom didn't want me to go across the street. And then when he found out from her reaction, he was like, oh, well, I never told her, you know? So that's their stuff to work out that does not belong to me. So what I can do is I can do a ritual to then affirm my trust in myself, to affirm my worthiness, to affirm the fact that I make good decisions for myself, and I can ask to release those other things. Now, when you do this, you're asking for that shit to be conjured back to you, right? Because that's the process of alchemy. Burning, releasing, coming back. Burning, coming back, right? That's the process, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then eventually disintegrates every time it comes back, right? So when you're saying, I trust myself, I am worthy, I make good decisions, you might be face to face with a decision that you don't know what the fuck to do, and you don't know if you're going to make the right decision, right? This is a test. Do you really trust yourself like you said you did? Do you make good decisions for yourself? Let's see, what does your heart say? Are you making this decision from your heart, or are you making this decision from your survival mode, from your humanity? So then after spirit work, you're going to nurture. You always want to nurture after spirit work. That is involving the mother. So hugging on yourself, loving on yourself, doing things that make you feel nurtured, doing your hair, taking a hot bath, praising yourself, giving yourself all of these words of love and affirmation and worthiness, right? That's nurturing. However you feel held. So that would be the 3 parts to healing. Does that make sense for you guys? Give me like a heart or a thumbs up or something. We are almost done. We probably have another like 10 minutes and then we'll be done. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys are good. Cool. I know. It's a lot. It's a lot. Thank you guys for sticking with me this long. It's a long time. And I don't even know how to save this. I think I just click X and then hit save or something. I don't even know. Hopefully. Okay. All right. So, giving birth in ancient knowing. Yeah, those were the 3 main things. And I have them written on the outline for you. I think I kept them there. Open processing, spirit work, nurturing. You know what, you guys? I totally missed a question. I want to do it though. Okay, let's take it back a little bit to question number 10. I totally forgot. So I want you to make 2 columns, right? And in one column, I want you to write what emotions surface when you think of your father. For those who took my Divine Masculine, you've already done this, but you can do it again. So what emotions surface when you think of your father in one column? The next column is what emotions surface when you think about men. So go ahead and make those 2 columns and then write some words. I'll give you 1 minute now. Sorry, I'm messaging Leia. Okay, so in those 2 columns, are there any of the same emotions? Circle them. So if you had an emotion come up when you thought of your father, and the same emotion came up when you thought about men, circle that emotion. Now I want you to write, love is, using the emotions you just circled. Love is blank. Love is blank. Because men are just a reflection of the divine masculine, right? It's not really about sex, it's just about the energy. But the energy that you feel about men is going to be reflective of the energy you feel for the divine masculine. So the reason why I had you guys do this activity, love is blank, love is blank, love is blank, is because you need to know what's going on in your subconscious mind. So you may not consciously feel like you perceive love to be this way, but you do. You perceive the union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine in this way. So however you're responding, you're reacting, you're experiencing your life, it's going to be reflective in the way that you view love. All right, so we have one last thing. You might want to fight me right now because of what we just did. But come on, because I love you. Let's go. Giving birth and ancient knowing. Okay, so look at the state of birth right now. We all know the state of birth is in a fucking crisis because nobody trusts women and nobody trusts their bodies, right? But what does that say? We don't trust ourselves and we don't trust our bodies, right? Because the reality is a direct reflection of how we feel internally. So birth is a symbol, and it's reflecting the current consciousness surrounding creation and victimization. Creation and victimization. So like attracts like. You need experiences to reflect your inner world. If you view life as hard, birth is hard. If you view life as a struggle, your birth is going to be a struggle. Your birthing process is going to be a struggle. If you view life as overpowering you, as hard, as a struggle, as constant stress, your birthing experience is going to reflect that because you're bringing forth life, right? So it's going to reflect how you view life, what you think of life, right? So there was a man named Joseph D. Lee, and he really solidified the prevention obstetrics. So that means like being in hospitals, birthing with your legs, apart and your body back, cutting you open, giving you anesthesia, right? So he believed that birth was more dangerous than it was safe. That's what his opinion was. He advocated for more medical interventions. This was a man, right? And let me tell you, he had melanin. So what does that say? That says we sent somebody down, right? We sent somebody down to do that work. Why? Because we were not stepping into our power, and we were very powerless, and we were in a space of victimization. Yeah, we knew that shit was going to be painful, but do gods care about pain? Absolutely not. They care about transformation, right? So we are the creators of everything. Everything in existence we have created. So we are looping, right? And we're understanding the power of transformation. So because there's this huge birth crisis happening in America right now, that is reflective of where women are inside of themselves and where birthing people are inside of themselves. So we are attacking the system and saying the system is wrong, right? The system is doing all these things. The system. We need to be supporting, advocating, and educating the minds of birthing people and families. Right? That's what needs to happen because the internal must change so that the external may reflect that. And because birth is a symbol, we have to look at it that way, right? So we're birthing new life, but the shit is hard. The shit is painful. It's uncooperative. It makes me feel powerless. It makes me feel helpless, right? Because we have to recognize the duality, and this is through healing the womb. That's the only way birth is going to change. It's the only way life is going to change. It's the only way we're going to be able to create new realities. So we have to recognize birth as a spiritual and emotional experience first, because what's happening when you're birthing is you're feeling blockages, you're coming face to face with your trauma, right? And your birthing experience is going to flow in tandem with that. So birth is an experience that we manifest, and our internal blockages are felt and they are made physical in this experience, right? It's an emotional experience, it's a spiritual experience. Blockages you're facing inside, any fears, doubt, anger, trauma, pain that you haven't confronted is going to come up and out during birth. And I wanted to say this because giving physical birth is the same thing as rebirthing yourself, right? It's the same thing as creating a new version of you, or embracing new aspects of you, or illuminating who you are. You have to go through this period of death, and the process of your birthing time, where you're experiencing all of these pressure waves, is the death, is the darkness, is the underworld. When the baby is physically born, comes the light, right? Or comes more darkness, depending on what your spirit needs specifically. So the whole time, this whole lecture, we've been talking about death and birth, and that was very intentional, because that's the cycle that it embraces. Whew. So take a deep breath. I am open to seeing, I am open to feeling, I am safe, I am held, I trust myself. Now we're gonna say, I am wrapping, there is a resolution, I am held, I am safe, I trust myself. I am wrapping, there is a resolution, I am held, I am safe, I trust myself. Right? I am wrapping, there is a resolution, I am safe, I am held, I trust myself. Because what we just did was a lot of work, right? We went through everything that this lecture stated, spirit, openly, right? And now we want to close it back up. Not to close ourselves off from anything, just to feel safe, feel grounded, feel held, feel loved. So you have all of this deep power that lies in your womb. And I hope that you can see that now. I want to say thank you guys so much for being here with me. If there's anything that you can give me, it's a review, right? Because reviews really help people to see what it is that I do, and also to see what they can gain from an experience like this. I put a lot of myself into this space. I put a lot of my heart into this space. And to see you guys write reflective reviews makes me so happy, because it's essentially saying I'm so grateful, and now other people can see how grateful I am, and other people can feel called to this experience, right? Because a lot of people feel like $100 is a lot, you know, like, what am I going to gain from this? What do you guys feel like you've gained? Right? Like, how much power, how much limitlessness. So yes, I am so grateful. Thank you all so much for being here. If you have any final questions or comments, please ask or say them now. Thank you. I'm so grateful. I know sometimes I get reviews like a week later, sometimes 2 weeks later, sometimes even a month later, because sometimes it takes people a while to integrate everything that I said and really process, because get this information. You know, this is a culmination of not only the study of metaphysics and occult science, but of psychology. So you're working through your humanity and embracing spirituality. It's a lot. It's very intensive. It is. So thank you guys so much for being here. Yeah, I really appreciate you. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that lecture. That was, yeah. I had Corey read it. He was like, whoa, babe. Whoa, it's going to be so good. Oh my God. Of course, of course. Love you. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm hoping that this is going to upload once I exit out. If it doesn't, I'm going to be so sad because that's what I told people. But I'm pretty sure it does because I experimented with it last night and it started uploading and I was like, delete, delete. Good, 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 good. It is a lot to process, especially if you're new to occult science or spirituality, or you've been eating spiritual information from Instagram. Not the best way to go. But I want you guys to know that you are the power, you know, that you do possess all of these things, that they are inside of you, just waiting to be seen, heard, felt, unlocked, experienced, right? Because the womb is an experience. It's a process. It's like swimming through water. All right, so if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to DM me. Thank you guys so much for being here, for spending your time, spending your day with me. I know it was super long, super intensive. A pre-thank you for your reviews. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to be able to be here with you and to share what I've shared today. So I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you later. All right, signing off.